can. Thank you very much, Fiona, and virtual hello to everybody. It's strange when I don't see people when I'm presenting. Anyway, I will make this as light-hearted and informative as I can. We entitled this Resilience Revisited because I think for me, the COVID pandemic, I know I've mentioned the C word straight away, really made us all too aware of the need to examine our business's ability to manage through unexpected events, as well as our own personal ability, particularly when it's your own business. The two are so interlinked. And the reality is we're going to have to continue to navigate the current situation, as well as doing what we can do to prepare our businesses for future disruptions that are sure to come by developing strategies that make us more resilient, or I'm going to introduce a term called anti-fragile, and making us either more resilient or anti-fragile in the face of these unpredictable disruptions, because that is the only constant that we are actually going to have. Now, I am sure throughout 2020, I'll come back to that one. Throughout 2020, you heard a lot about resilience. So I'm going to quickly go back to that, looking at resilience from a personal point of view, and then take you on to this concept around about anti-fragility, which is more around, well, it can be applied to individuals and teams. It's more applicable from a business perspective of it. For those of you that I've introduced myself to, I'm Client Development Director at Connect 3, which is an organisation that our strapline is, we change the way people run businesses. That's a little bit about what we do in the big boxes, and there's just a little bit of an insight into me as an individual and where my connection with Connect 3 actually comes from. And connecting with the values side of it, which is be bold, be curious, be you. Why would you not want to do that on a daily basis? So on to the topic in hand, first of all. What does resilience mean to you? So we can cover this. I've got two images there, okay, both of which are usually pretty common when we talk about resilience. And a quote, an individual's stability or quick recovery under significant adverse conditions. So let's just explore resilience quickly. First of all, resilience is not a destination. It is a way of being. And the good news is it is not a trait that people have or don't have. It involves behaviours, it involves thoughts, and it involves actions that can be learned and can be developed by anyone. And there's even more good news in terms of resilience. We are all naturally resilient. Think about how many times you've surprised yourself, particularly over the last 9-10 months, about how strong you have been and what you've tackled despite challenging circumstances. So it's really being an opportunity for us to be able to really delve deep, sometimes too deep. And that's why there's the two images there. Resilience for me is not about being an elastic band, because an elastic band, if you stretch it too far, it snaps. That's not resilience. That's endurance. Resilience is not for me either that strong, stoic lighthouse that can get battered with everything and doesn't react and doesn't respond. That is resilience in the wrong context, because resilience does not mean that you're not going to experience difficulty or distress. But it does mean that you apply that learning from what life has been like previously into the new situations. And it's a bit like when you build up your own resilience, it's a bit like getting shock absorbers in the car. Yeah, if you didn't have shock absorbers in the car and you go over speed bumps, it hurts. If you have the shock absorbers, the speed bumps aren't going to go away, but it's going to hurt a little bit less. So it's important when we think about resilience. Where are your shock absorbers? What are you doing in order to give yourself that little bit more protection? It's not about bounce back ability. We're over bounce back ability. But I do think that for me, resilience, the quote is slightly changed. And this is where we subtly start to move resilience into anti-fragility. That it's an ability to, yes, be stable, yes, recover, but also even grow under adverse conditions, both personally and from a business perspective. And there's another thing in there, it's that mental agility. It's that mental agility to be able to grow. Yeah, so that bounce back ability, I started to term it in 2020 as build back ability. Yeah, because if we can learn and we can adapt, I think we heard the word pivot earlier on, we develop our resilience over time. Yeah, so bust that myth that it's being about strong, stoic and defiant. And you know, the lighthouse in that way stands alone. But being resilient is about adopting a different approach. And that's where I've got that buoy in the water. And I really like that concept, that it's grounded by your values, by what is important. And rather than resisting or deflecting those waves, the buoy moves with them, but it never gets swept away as it is grounded in that anchor. So it's about finding what are your personal anchors in order that you can do the best for yourself and then the best for your businesses. So that's a whistle-stop tour of resilience to recap on what many of you will probably know already. We then start to look at this anti-fragility. Now, they are related concepts, and fragility is a danger in all complex systems. And we live in a very complex world at the moment. You know, many of you have heard of the term of that VUCA environment. Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity is absolutely rife in everything that we've got going on just now. And the opposite of fragile is not robust. It is not sturdy. Anti-fragile doesn't refer to things that don't break. It's about emerging better than before. That is not a party political broadcast. That phrase has been used in other things. But those qualities that somewhere fall in the middle between fragile and anti-fragile. So this anti-fragile concept was introduced by a guy called Nassim Taleb way before COVID. And it's about that, what are the benefits of it? What anti-fragility have you got in your business in terms of having the capacity to not only survive shocks, but to actively embrace those shocks as a catalyst to change and to become even stronger? So a business that is seeking anti-fragility goes beyond resilience by using a learning by doing process that leverages those experiences, those faults, those instances to become a business that thrives as conditions evolve. In our experience at Connect 3, an organisation's ability to grow stronger in the face of significant adversity is dependent on the capacity of their cultures to learn and transform, which is dependent on how well they can shake off what we would call those fixed mindsets and modes of behaviour to embrace far more of a growth mindset. Because fundamentally, the goal of all learning is to evolve what and how we do things. And while our mental strength may ensure we are resilient, it's our ability to continuously learn and adapt that is what is going to enable us to move from resilient to anti-fragile. Therefore, that's why I say that this concept is applicable at an individual level, at a team level, and at a business level. So, what are we talking about? You're seeing here that VUCA environment that I talked about: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And where is that intensity of change affecting your business at the moment? Yeah. A resilient strategy seeks stability, survival, or a business as usual outcome, while that anti-fragility strategy is going to look at more of that transformation type thing. So what we have is, where is that intensity of the VUCA environment impacting your business at the moment? And then on the same scaling, what is the agility level of your business to actually respond to that? And that will then mean that whatever strategy you have, it may be that the best strategy that you can source at this time is a capacity to endure and cope to survive. It may be that capacity to adapt through dynamic resilience, so more of that buoy moving in the water. Or it may well be that you, because of the intensity of the environment and your agility and culture within your business, there's a capacity there for you and your organisation to learn and develop that anti-fragility. So by the very nature of you being business owners, it's about then thinking, what capacity do I have, and what capacity and environment can I create in my business to be able to move to more of that anti-fragility aspect of it, or at least that dynamic resilience. So that is the concept of it. And the really great news is that already by being business owners, you are likely to be more responsible, more proactive, more strategic, and more of a holistic thinker than many others that are part of wider, bigger corporate organizations. And what I just want to show here is some simple traits and simple considerations building on those traits that can help you to take yourself and your business through these times of change, whatever strategy that you choose to apply. So you've got this. The first thing is to resist that urge to fix minor problems right away. So there's tendency to want to do that, even if they're minor. However, what we would say is that sometimes in our rush to take immediate action, it can actually put us in a worse situation than we were in before. So it often pays to take time to react. And when you take time to react, then you are more likely to be responding. And in turn, this will be a more objective, a more rational, and a more logical decision in terms of the problem solving. Do more with less. You've heard that so many times before. But instead of beating yourself up for not squeezing enough into your day, consider reducing some of those overwhelming activities. There's many businesses on here today that can help you to do that. And if you cut out one by one of those little activities, you can watch how it affects your business, and also maybe ease some pressure on yourself and be a bit kinder to yourself. The third one here, separate signal from noise. Too much information can actually lead to bad decisions. I am a resource investigator. It sometimes is a strength overplayed for me. But watching your analytic data too closely can actually mean that you overreact. So try limiting your time that you identify what the underlying trends are to help keep things in perspective and to help and make sure that you are making that informed decision making. This one, develop your strategic thinking. You guys have got this in the bag and in bucket loads, yeah? So strategic thinkers, what do? They anticipate, they think critically, they interpret, they develop processes, they use technology to get rid of some of those time-consuming activities. They align and they learn by reflecting on their experiences, not. And as business owners, you have a natural propensity, I would suggest, for far more strategic thinking than a heck of a lot of others in the world. And then this one, reduce negativity. I learned a lot from my mother, and she always talks about, she was the one that introduced me to radiators and drains, yeah, or sometimes we hear about them as mood hoovers. Stop interacting with people that are going to impose negatively in your life. Just stop, yeah. They drain the energy out of you, yeah, they are the drains. So think about the situations and the individuals that you're interacting with that are going to give you that radiator feeling, the part of it that's like, yeah, we can do this. Because being anti-fragile means that you have the courage to say enough and let those people leave your life. Yeah, you've got friends for a season, you've got colleagues for a season, and you've got colleagues for a reason. So really think about reducing that negativity in order for you to fully embrace anti-fragility. And that final point for me is you're doing what you're doing for a good reason. So just maybe remind yourself of that. Yeah. So whether you choose a strategy that seeks resilience or one that stretches you into anti-fragility will depend very much on the type of business that you're in and where you are in terms of your maturity. But it does need to consider the activities that position it to face disruptions in the 3 phases of either readiness, response, or recovery. Oh, God, have I been talking too long? Sorry. Right, I've got about another few minutes to go. That probably wasn't professional if this has been recorded. Sorry. So readiness is being focused on a set of activities that detect and eliminate the sources of possible disruption to reduce or mitigate their negative impact. So that's about readiness strategy. Your response strategy is concerned with the immediate actions that can be taken after that disaster has occurred by utilising the plans that you created in the readiness stage and recognising the resources to quickly bring the system into that temporary acceptable operational state. Then recovery, that's where we're getting into anti-fragility, because that is focusing on the activities that return that disrupted business into a pre-disruption operational state, or preferably an improved level of operation that has involved redesigning business processes, learning from experiences, and benefiting from the opportunities. So I guess what I would encourage you to do is to reflect on where your company's strategy is at for continuing to be ready, respond, and recovering within this pandemic situation. What strategies have you already deployed? What success has that brought? And do you need to review these in light of the current evolving situation? Because while we can't predict the next disruption that will recur, none of us can do. The only certainty that we have is that we know it's coming. So going back to Taleb, who I found out about anti-fragility from, he encourages us all to learn to live in a world that is beyond our understanding and our capacity to predict. That is definitely easier said than done. But even though we're unable to predict these future disruptions, we are all able to prepare for them by having the discipline to understand the strategies and tactics that lead to a more resilient and even anti-fragile business. So at the foundation of that is your ability to understand your own resilience risks, your own resilience strengths, how to mitigate them, how to manage them, how to master them. And then to create that environment which enables you to play to those strengths. And that then is about the link between your own personal resilience and your business anti-fragility. So I'll leave you with that quote from Carl Jung, and then, as you would expect, a final little slide there, hopefully, if I can do it, on our details, but maybe it's not. Oh, there's questions, we'll come to them, and a thank you from me. So yeah, there we go. Bish bash bosh.
Great, thanks so much, Shona. Sorry, no, that wasn't meant to be for you.